Hey guys, it's Lily. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel again this week. We will be doing something completely different than what we've focused on in the past. This will be the one weekend out of the year where Florida is gonna have a cold front. And I know it's Florida, we don't really have cold weather, but for us, 34 degrees is like Armageddon. Like, we're not used to this type of weather. We don't have the pants, the shoes, the sweaters. We don't have anything for this type of weather. So we're just trying to do the best we can. And hopefully I can take care of my plants and prevent them from dying, I guess, over the next few days. They're pretty much all tropical plants out here, which means they're not used to weather. Like, I think the coldest they ever get is like 41, and this weekend it's projected to go down to 34 in this area. So I'm really concerned with frost. I'm really concerned that the leaves are just all gonna burn because of the frost and how cold it'll get. Especially Dieffenbachias, they're too tropical. They will literally just turn to mush in 34-degree frost. So what I've done is I have gotten a few supplies together. I got these like freeze cover cloth things that I'm going to use to cover the plants, but I'm also going to create like a structure, kind of making a little greenhouse, like a makeshift greenhouse for them. I was able to find these tall PVC pipes that I found in the trash, and then I got these 2x4s for my aunt. She just had them laying around, she wasn't using them, so I'm going to try to make at least 4 corners and maybe some support in the center since it's such a long area. And then I'm just going to drape the freeze cloth covers over the plants and staple them to the ground using garden staples. After that, I will have to tackle my porch, which, as you know, has the majority of my plant collection. Here I mostly have roses, hibiscus, plumeria, all of which are very tropical plants. They're not used to this type of weather, so if I don't protect them from the frost, I will come back to just mush, I think, over the holiday weekend. But the porch has a different concern altogether. It is covered. It's not going to have that freeze. I'm not concerned about frost, but it is way too cold for Hoyas. Hoyas are not used to being in 34-degree weather, so I'm concerned that if I don't insulate the porch at least a little bit, that drop to 34, even if it's just for an hour or two, will make all of my Hoyas turn to mush. I really don't want to come back after Christmas to a porch full of mush. So I'm gonna try something completely different for the porch this year, and hopefully that'll protect all the plants I have back there. But yeah, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Just wanted to give you an idea of what I am dealing with out here. These are all hibiscus out here. In the middle is a row of very exotic hibiscus that I would be very depressed if I lost. And then in the very back row is a bunch of roses. Both the hibiscus and the roses will not do well in this type of weather at all, and they need some sort of protection or I'm going to lose them. In the front you have plumerias. The plumerias will kind of fend for themselves. They'll drop all the leaves, like kind of that big one there. And then they'll come back, they'll be fine. I have some orchids that are attached to the tree, and then I have some amaryllis that are in the small pots in the back. Those should do fine. The bulbs are very well rooted, so as long as the bulbs are rooted and it doesn't actually go below 30, they should be fine. And then over here I have some Dracaenias, and I have a Monstera, which will look completely depressed after this. The Dieffenbachia will also not do well at all. It will turn to mush as soon as it goes below 35. Here's some butterfly ginger. There's a bunch of milkweed, which will be completely fine. I'm not really concerned. So really what I'm worried about is the roses in the back, the hibiscus in the middle, and then some of the hibiscus in the middle. So that's where I'll focus all of my energy, and hopefully I will be able to save some of these babies. Look how beautiful. So I've decided the first step that I'm going to take is going to be to kind of rearrange this a little bit. I realized the hibiscus and the roses are way taller than the rest of them, so I'm going to kind of create an arch and kind of organize my plants that way, the taller ones in the middle and then the shorter ones on the sides. I'm also going to try to prioritize any plants that will survive this type of weather, like the agave that you saw at the end, The crown of thorns will be fine. So all of that will just completely stay outside of the cover that I'm going to put up tonight, just because I have to prioritize what I'm protecting. So I'm going to try to cover the hibiscus. I'm going to try to cover the desert roses that I have here. And I'm going to take the trellis off of the roses that you see behind me, because that's just too tall. I know that the roses, they're climbing roses, so I know that they will be fine if I take the trellis off for a couple of days and just let them rest over the other plants that are next to them. And I'm going to try my best to cover the plumeria, at least the smaller ones, but I know I will not be able to cover the big Dracaena. It's just too big and it'll do fine. And I know I probably will not be able to cover the big plumeria tree. I've had that tree for like 5 years. I know it'll be fine. It's more of a basic variety. So worst comes to worst, I'll just take a cutting and start over, but I know it won't come to that. I've had it for 5 years. It's going to be fine. So I'm just going to try to focus my energy on the stuff that I know will need it. Really going to try to focus on saving my exotic hibiscus. They're just way too beautiful, and I've put way too much time, effort, love, energy into them. So I'm going to do my best to protect them. So this is the stuff I bought to put over the plants. As I mentioned, I'm going to create some sort of structure with like big tall stakes and PVC pipes that I've been able to find. And I'm going to plan on repurposing it. So my goal is to be able to cover the plants without having to directly drape the cloth over the plant. I don't want to make matters worse by, I don't know, burning the leaves on contact. So I'm going to try to prevent that as much as possible. And we'll see how it goes. So I have rearranged all the plants in the front. I've grouped together as many as I can. I took some of the smaller pots and I put them inside bigger pots. And I tried to prioritize what I wanted to protect. And then I created a separate section on this side for plants I will not be able to cover. So the goal is to cover from here all the way here. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of nervous because it's a lot. It is certainly a lot, and a lot of these are blooming, which makes me extra sad, but we'll do our best. So here's what we've created so far. We put one there, one here. Then we will be using this built-in post. Then this one we added. I did another one over there in the back. And then the last 2x4 over here, we're also going to use that post to tie things down. And then what I did is I added one PVC pipe and the second one right there to hopefully prevent any caving in from happening. So now that we created our little frame area, we can try to put the cloth over it. So we put one cloth on either side and the middle is left open, but we have a third one that is slightly shorter that will be draping over the top. I was able to fit the Dracaena in there, so hopefully it'll get some protection, but as you can see, the middle is still left uncovered, so we're going to use the last and third cloth to cover the top. So here's what we ended up with. I used a bunch of spring clamps from 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch to kind of tie them together. I left some give so the wind won't just completely overtake it, and I was able to fit the Dracaena in there. It won't do amazing, but it won't die, and the orchids that are attached to it should do fine now. But this is what we ended up with. I used garden staples in the bottom so that it doesn't lift. See it there? I used about, I want to say 8 or 10 on each side, and then like 3 on the ends here, and then I created this little structure. So finally the sun came out. So the idea for the porch is a little bit different than what we decided to do for the front, and that's really just because the porch, as you can see, has like a pre-existing enclosure, kind of like a cage. So we're going to try to leverage that structure as much as possible. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the tarps that we have, that we had from past hurricanes and camping trips, and we're going to try to enclose it, like just cover the porch as much as possible and try to create like an airtight space in here to prevent the temperatures in here from reaching what they're supposed to be, which is 34. I'm then going to take some of those freeze covers and sheets and little blankets that I've used in the past for all of my hurricane preparations. I'm going to use those to cover my Hoyas. I'm going to try to cover all of my begonias and some of my aroids. Also the desert roses, because those don't fare well in the cold either. The last thing that I want to do is come back after Christmas break, after visiting family, to find a bunch of plants that have turned to mush. And I think some of you guys might be wondering, why don't I just plug in a space heater out here? Because there are outlets out here in the porch, and I could do that. I think the biggest reason I have not decided to do so is just I'm really apprehensive of just leaving a space heater plugged in out here while I'm gone. I'm not going to be home for Christmas, so I don't want to just leave a space heater plugged in out here while I'm not here in case something happens. I mean, you never know. I'm pretty paranoid with fires and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do the best that I can to try to prevent the temperatures in this porch from reaching that like 34-degree weather that we're supposed to be getting in the next couple of days. And yeah, I'll post more pictures and videos once I am done setting it up, and I will give you some pointers as to the supplies that I use to enclose this area and kind of prevent or protect everything from the cold damage. So wish me luck. So I'm gonna show you the before and after. So here's the begonias, desert roses, aroids, succulent and cactus, and then over here, the giant Hoya section. This should be interesting. So I just wanted to show you what I did. I covered the begonias with a sheet. I covered the desert roses and some of my Hoya pops with the freeze cloth. And then as you come over here, some of the aroids are covered. This area is covered. And then the rest of my Hoyas are covered in this like thick linen, which is pretty thick, so should do fine. And then now that I'm done with this, I'm gonna enclose the porch all around with some tarps, so hopefully they'll stay warm. So I covered the back of the porch with a tarp that I tied with zippy ties to my upstairs neighbor's porch, and then it goes all the way around the side. And I'm gonna tie it down there a little bit more so it's tighter, but this is it. And now we have a closed porch. There's that little gap there, but otherwise it's pretty well sealed. So it's got double protection. It has the tarp on the outside, and then it has the freeze covers on, and then this goes all the way to the back. And then here, the Hoya's got a little extra warmth. It's like a blanket sheet. It's a pretty thick linen, and there you have it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching my video this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, gives you some ideas for how to protect your plants the next time we get a cold front. and I don't know, maybe you just had a little fun watching me struggle. But yeah, so this is what it takes to be able to protect my plants, at least that couple times a year where we get a little bit extra cold. But I'm hoping that all the preparations that I did will give me that peace of mind that I need over winter break, so I'm not worried about my plants back at home and making it through okay. And I hope this works. We'll see. I'll let you guys know after I come back.